Trump has announced that Netanyahu and him have come to a two-state vision for Gaza's war end within the next 2 weeks. Interesting that the Palestinians are not involved in this, but apparently Trump and Netanyahu came to an agreement. But they're saying that the hostilities would conclude within 2 weeks. Abraham Accords expansion to include Syria and Saudi Arabia, with a two-state solution with limited Israeli sovereignty in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. Once again, leaving out the Palestinians in this conversation. I mean, do you think that this is going to really be over? I mean, I think that the Zionist movement has an agenda, and it's to take all the land. And I think this is just another chapter.
I mean, to be honest, I hate to say it, this reminds me of Biden's haplessness when it comes to Israel and Palestine. He will announce something that he has not involved the Palestinians at all in, and then when it doesn't play out, he can just kind of say, "Oh, well, hey, I tried." And this seems to be, and I've studied their 5 points that they're putting out there, and many of them will never be acceptable. You know, they're talking about the expulsion of population. Now they call it voluntary, but you know, they talk about the Abrahamic Accords extending to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has already said at this point that they are not interested in whatsoever in being involved in this until they recognize a two-state solution. It doesn't require Israel to recognize a two-state. It only requires them to think about it. Well, they'll think about it while they're bombing the Gazans. So on one hand, it's a good sign because it shows that President Trump is feeling the pressure. He's got to do something about this. On the other hand, as you've said this whole time we've been talking, Kim, and absolutely correctly, why can't he just tell Netanyahu, look, not another bullet for you. We can't do it anymore. We're done until you can fix this problem and stop killing people.
Oh, we are a controlled nation, unfortunately. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, it's the donor class. Like you said, it's the donor class that has made it to where it's impossible for us to just be the good guys. You know, the thing that we all grew up believing about America, Captain America, right? That we're the heroes, we're the good guys. And yet we can't just make what's so obvious and simple good choices and side with, you know, make good moral stances and ethical stances. And instead we go along with mass murder of children, as you said. I don't have children, but I do have many nieces and nephews. And I tell you, I don't know how the Palestinians are going to get over this. I just don't know how you can blow up a bunch of kids and bury kids under rubble and have people just forget about it. I just don't know how that rage goes away. I don't think it would go away for anybody who watched their children or entire families, their neighbors die like that. I just don't think that rage goes away.
Yeah, very sad.
Daniel, thank you so much for being here. We do have links down below for people to. Is there anything you wanted to tell people? I think there might be.
Well, just the Ron Paul Institute has its annual DC conference on August 16th. If you go to our website, ronpaulinstitute.org, you can figure out how to get tickets. We've got a great lineup of speakers, as always, and we're going to talk about a lot of things you and I talked about today, Kim. So it's going to be a great, great event. And I'm going to try to make it. I am going to try to make it to the event, to be there and to potentially speak at it. So I think I might be able to make that happen. I'm going to do my absolute best because I would love to be there and love to see you guys all in person. Cool. So we do have the link down below to that. We also have the link to your X profile and also your daily show that you're doing, the Ron Paul Report with Ron Paul. And that link is down below as well. So Daniel McAdams, thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Kim. Take care. Daniel was kind of in a hurry, so we didn't get to go through all of the points of this deal, but I want to share with you what the vision is for Trump and Bibi in this great deal that they're going to be striking for the Gazans. And you probably heard Daniel just say that they plan on relocating a bunch of the Gazans, doing a force of, what they call volunteer relocation. Yeah, that's part of this deal. The 5 points in it are: the Gaza hostilities will conclude within 2 weeks. Ending conditions will encompass 4 Arab nations, including Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, to administer the Gaza Strip, replacing the murderous Hamas terrorist organization. The remaining Hamas leadership will face exile to other countries while the hostages gain freedom. So when they say that these Arab nations are going to be administering, well, let's go over to the other points, and then you'll see why I don't think they're going to be rebuilding the Gaza Strip. Number 2, multiple nations globally will accept numerous Gaza inhabitants seeking immigration. Let me say that again. Multiple nations globally will accept numerous Gaza inhabitants seeking immigration. So they're going to relocate the Palestinians out of Gaza. After Israel blew up all of their families, their kids, and said they were all terrorists, they're going to now turn around and say, no, they're not really terrorists. Well, then what were you doing murdering all of them? And now you're going to be expelling them from their homes because you think you have the right to do that? For what reason? Because you're wanting to commit a genocide. And it's either kill them or move them. And those are your solutions. So this is why I don't think that they're going to be rebuilding it with these Arab nations that they say they're going to be administering the Gaza Strip. I just think they're going to have these Arab nations go in there and they're essentially going to be no rebuilding whatsoever, but instead just administering the aid and facilitating all of these people being moved out of there. I think that's what they plan to do. Number 3, Abraham Accords expansion will bring Syria, of course, because Syria is a patsy of Israel, which goes to show that ISIS and Al-Qaeda, this brings a huge question about ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Israel's role in the formation, promotion, training, and sustaining of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Major questions there. Here we were fighting against terrorists all these years. Was Israel actually supporting them and then giving them a nation in the end, shaking their hand and saying, now we're allies? So the Abraham Accords will bring in Syria, Saudi Arabia, and additional Arab and Muslim countries to recognize Israel and establish official relationships. They should absolutely not be doing that. Number 4, Israel will declare its willingness for future Palestinian conflict resolution under the two-state concept contingent upon the Palestinian Authority reforms, meaning they're going to clear Gaza of all the people, and then they're going to do a two-state solution in the West Bank. But point 5 says the United States will acknowledge limited Israeli sovereignty implementation in Judea and Samaria. So Israel will get sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, even though it's a supposed two-state solution. So they're going to get rid of Gaza, move out all the people, and then they're going to take the West Bank, give Israel partial sovereignty over it for now. You know that they're going to get full sovereignty of it. And they're going to do a limited two-state solution deal is what they really mean, rather than limited Israeli sovereignty. It's limited Palestinian sovereignty. They might as well just frame it with what they mean. So that is the vision, the great vision. Could you imagine somebody coming into your home or you got all these conservative Americans who are pro-Israel waving the Israel flag, and yet they are the ones who are they're saying invasion of foreigners into our country, invasion from our southern border. Could you imagine all the Mexicans coming through and saying, you know what, Texas was our homeland, so we're taking Texas back, and we'll take Arizona and New Mexico and California too. We're going to take all of this. It's ours. It was always historically ours. You people showed up later, and God gave it to us. Trust. So we're going to take it. And, okay, look, white people, after we massacre you. So they commit massive massacres of white people and all the colonizers. And then they, because this is how the Israelis view the Palestinians. They view them as outsiders, as people who shouldn't be there, as essentially colonizers who, took their land, these sad Jews' land, who God promised them the land, and they went through thousands of years of persecution, and now they're back to take their homeland back that God promised them. And it's that same thing. So could you imagine they start slaughtering all of these families in Texas, and then they say, okay, we'll give you some limited sovereignty, or you could just go. I mean, there's plenty of other places for you. Go to Idaho, go to Wisconsin, go somewhere else. You don't belong here. No one in America would accept that. But a lot of Americans seem to think the Palestinians should. Yet they would never accept that. Texans would fight tooth and nail for their homes. They wouldn't just pack up and leave. They would fight back. They would actually raise up militias and they would fight back. They would raise up something much deadlier than Hamas and they would fight back. That is exactly what Texans would do. And yet, for whatever reason, people can't seem to think that the Palestinians should be able to do this. Because if they do, they're terrorists. So, this is not a good plan. I don't see how the Palestinians can accept this, but I think what they're going to say is it's either death to you. I mean, what's the alternative? Death to you all, genocide to you all, or else you accept this forced expulsion and a quasi, actually, and is just Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank. I mean, what are their choices on this? It's just absolutely and utterly dismal. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.